Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the church in Ocean Park. So glad to see you this morning. As I said to Louise and Reverend Janet, I am still just flying high after Communitas yesterday. So very glad to be here this morning. And we're going to get started with a real favorite song of mine and of many people, really, and that is Something Inside So Strong. The higher you build your barriers, the taller I become. Oh, the further you take my rights away, the faster I will run. You can't deny me. You can decide to turn your face away. No matter, 'cause there's something inside so strong. I know that I can make it. Though you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought that my pride was gone, oh no. But there's something inside so strong. Oh, something inside so strong. And that last part, that's the chorus. Let's do that again. Something inside. There's something inside so strong. I know I can make it. I know that I can make it. Though you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought that my pride was gone, oh no. There's something inside so strong. Oh, something inside so strong. All right, everyone take a good stretch. Yes, yes indeed. Something inside so strong. The more you refuse to hear my voice, here we go. The more you refuse, the louder I will sing. Oh, you hide behind walls of Jericho. Oh, but your lies will come tumbling. Deny my place in time. You squander wealth that's mine, but my light will shine so brightly. Here comes the chorus. Because there's something inside so strong. I know that I can make it. Though you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought that my pride was gone, oh no. There's something inside so strong, oh. My brothers and sisters, and they insist we're just not good enough. Oh, not good enough. Well, we know better. Just look them in the eye and say, we're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it anyway. Say that. We're gonna do it anyway. Say it again. We're gonna do it anyway. Oh, we gotta do that again. We're gonna do it anyway. One more time. Gonna do it anyway, 'cause something inside so strong. I know that I can make it. Oh, but you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought that my pride was gone. Oh no. There's something inside so strong. Oh, something inside so strong. Oh, do the chorus one last time now. There's something inside so strong. I know that I can make it. Hey, but you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought that my pride was gone. Oh no. There's something inside so strong. something inside so strong. Oh, something inside so strong. One last time. There's something inside so strong. Good morning, friends, and welcome to Church in Ocean Park.
Hello, welcome, welcome. My name is Joseph MacDonald Hepburn. I'm sure you didn't know that. And we are all members of the Church in Ocean Park. We are here to welcome you to this unique interfaith community that is dedicated to social justice. You may be wondering now if you are welcome here. We are interfaith, so you are welcome if you are Jewish, if you are Muslim, if you are Hindu, if you are Buddhist, if you are Christian, atheist, or some combination, or something else altogether. You are welcome if you just came in from a march, aren't able to attend marches right now, or are confused about what to do. You are welcome if you missed Communitas this year, or if you tried to come in and didn't get in, or if you fell asleep and forgot about it. You are welcome if you don't have a job, if you never had a job, or if you don't want a job. You are welcome if you are a renter, a landlord, or both. We extend a special invitation to those who are single, married, divorced, gay, transgender, filthy rich, or dirt poor. We extend a special invitation to those who are just browsing or just woke up or even just got out of prison. We don't care if you're more religious than the Pope or haven't been into church since your nephew's baptism. We extend a special invitation to those who are over 60 or even over 70, but have not grown up yet, on to teenagers who are growing up too fast. We invite soccer moms, yes, tree huggers, latte sippers, vegetarians, junk food eaters, all of those we welcome. We invite you, if you're having problems, or if you're down in the dumps, or if you don't like organized religion at all. Yes, we offer a special invitation to those who work too hard, don't work, can't spell, or because they are bored with staying home all day and heard that this is a strange and intriguing church. We invite those who are ink pierced or both. We offer a special invitation to those who could use a prayer right now or some counsel right now, or maybe have had religion pushed down their throat as a child. We invite tourists, seekers and doubters, bleeding hearts. Yes, we invite you and you and you. Welcome to the church in Ocean Park.
You always get to that can't spell part, yeah. Well, one of the ways that we center ourselves each week is with a chant that comes from the Plum community in France, one of Thich Nhat Hanh's communities. So take a good stretch, please. And the words of this chant, they're in the chat, and we'll sing them together. We'll chant them 3 times. So take a good breath, let it out. I have arrived. I am home in the here and in the now. I am home in the here and in the now. I have arrived. I am home in the here big breath in. Welcome to the church in Ocean Park.
Thank you, Dr. Kim, and congratulations on your Communitas Award yesterday. I'm Reverend Janet Gollery McKithen, and I'm the minister at the church in Ocean Park, and I also welcome you here. Because we are diverse and multi-faith and have various beliefs of different kinds, you might mention. We try to get news perspectives so that we can widen our understanding of the world and how others see the world, so that we can help together make a more beloved community. So know that your voice is just as important as whoever just spoke, because you also are the church in Ocean Park. I want to begin with a land acknowledgement. I taken from Melina Abdullah from Black Lives Matter. The land that the church in Ocean Park sits on is physically situated in the ancestral homelands of the Tongva, the Chumash, and the Quiche people. And we pay respect to all Indigenous people, past, present, and future, and their continuing presence in their homeland and throughout their historical diaspora. We pay homage to those who were stolen from Africa, placed in bondage, and forced into labor, who were called slaves but never submitted as such, who have always been fully human, with an unbroken connection to the divine and to each other. We honor our African ancestors for the still unpaid labor which built what is now the Americas. To both the Indigenous and African forebears, we commit to the continued struggle for liberation and reparations, for it is only through freedom and justice that we truly give honor. Take a moment. Welcome to the church in Ocean Park.
Hi, I'm Louise Dobbs, the Minister of Music here, and I want to share a song with you. This song is called The Power of Kindness, and it's by a group called Muse, M-A-M-U-S-E. Can follow along with the words, they're in the chat. Ooh, I believe in the power of kindness. Oh, I believe in the power of love, the power of love. Ooh, I believe in the power of kindness. Oh, I believe in the power of love. Now we don't know what's coming, but we can help shape what's ahead. With kindness as our currency, the commonwealth is in our hands. So give a little, oh, give a lot, don't stop. A helping hand makes the world go round. There's more than enough. Come on now. Ooh, I believe in the power of kindness. Oh, I believe in the power of love, the power of love. Ooh, I believe in the power of kindness. Oh, I believe in the power of love. Now listen up now, people, keep your ear to the ground. We are the river flowing, generosity is abound. Oh, give a little, oh, give a lot, don't stop. With a helping hand makes the world go round. We're more than enough. Oh, ooh, I believe in the power of kindness. Oh, I believe in the power of love, the power of love. Ooh, I believe in the power of kindness. Oh, I believe in the power of love. The honeybee serves sweetness only to help the world bloom, bringing love to the flower, from the flower to the fruit. We can learn a thing or two. So give a little, oh, give a lot, don't stop. A I believe in the power of love, the power of love. Ooh, I believe in the power of kindness. Oh, I believe in the power of love, the power of love.
Cool. Thank you so much, Louise Dobbs, Minister of Music, Church in Ocean Park. Introducing our speakers this morning. They're amazing, courageous, risk-taking people, loving people. And I met them about 10 years ago. I don't know, we were trying to figure that out. But I'm gonna tell you something about their background. Marsha Aizumi is an author, speaker, educator, and advocate for the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer community, the cause she has embraced due in large part to the harassment and bullying her son experienced throughout high school. Born in Cleveland, Ohio, she moved to Southern California at an early age. Her areas of focus as an advocate are staff trainings, bringing greater visibility and support to the Asian Pacific Islander LGBTQ+ community, as well as to the transgender and the faith communities. Marsha continues to bring resources on bullying and harassment through district trainings, consulting with schools on how to increase visibility and support to LGBTQ+ district superintendents and their cabinet, called Courageous Conversations. Marsha's API transgender work has taken her around the United States and overseas to Asia as she shares her shame, grief, and fear, moved into unconditional love and acceptance of her son, Aiden. Marsha and Aiden have written a book, Two Spirits, One Heart, which was published in 2013. And together or individually, they've spoken to over 200 organizations around the country. In 2012, she co-founded and was former president of the San Gabriel Valley API PFLAG. Her faith work includes in organizing an event called Creating Safe Communities in 2017 and organizing Walking in Love. The goal of these events is to bring faith leaders together to work on LGBTQ+ individuals and families feeling accepted and seen in their churches and temples. Aiden and Marsha have spoken to Christian, Buddhist, and Mormon communities. It will provide a platform for churches and temples to find ways to be more open and inclusive. About Aiden. Aiden Aizumi was born in Japan on May 24th, 1988. Assigned female at birth, Aiden struggled with his gender identity for the first 20 years of his life. He attended public school and played varsity golf, was awarded MVP all 4 years. Coming out as lesbian during his sophomore year, he experienced bullying and harassment daily in high school. In 2008, Aiden came out as transgender and shared that he wished to transition from female to male. Since that day, his life has taken an upward turn. His focus for academic achievement returned. He's currently working as a compliance coordinator and regional sports advisor for opportunities for learning public charter schools, San Gabriel Valley. And you all know how it is to work right now in publics and any school. Aiden is actively involved in the LGBTQ+ community. He's currently the president of PFLAG Pasadena, where he also facilitates the youth group. Aiden has also volunteered to speak at high schools and colleges in the area to broaden the awareness of LGBTQ+ teen issues. Earlier, he was honored with the Paul A. Anderson Youth Leader Award from the National LGBTQ Task Force in Dallas, Texas. He hopes to share his journey with others and bring hope and empowerment to youth who need support. Welcome, Marsha and Aiden.
Awesome, thank you. Let me just share my slides here really quick with you all. A little visual so you don't have to just have us speaking. So hopefully folks can see that okay. We'll just get going. So just want to say thank you for having us and letting us be a part of your service today. You know, our story, my mom will share a little bit of hers, and then a little bit of what throughout this process we learned that has allowed us to live and find hope. And we'll just go right into it. It'll be a little bit of a quick one. So like Reverend Janet mentioned, I was born in Japan. and I'm adopted. I was raised here in Southern California, and I was assigned female at birth. And so for the first years of my life, I was dressed in all the typical sort of clothes you might imagine a young girl to be dressed in. And the world interacted with me as a young girl, and I interacted with the world, I guess, just more like a baby. But I didn't really have a sort of an idea yet, I guess, of what the things that I was most attracted to or drawn to, and the way that I wanted to interact with the world. And it would take me a few years to get to that point. And so as I grew up, about who I was and how I wanted to dress myself and engage with the world. I learned throughout that process of sort of this word tomboy, or being a tomboy. And I really embraced this as sort of my identity. It became very important to me to sort of feel like I had a word that could describe who I was. And at that point was just a girl who very much fit in more, and I guess fit in more with the boys. And as a tomboy, I never had problems in school. I had friends. I did well in school. No one ever made me feel like I didn't belong because of who I was and how I interacted with the world. And so I didn't think of myself as that different from my peers until I got to middle school, and around the age of puberty, which I fully admit is probably not the prettiest time for most folks. But for me, it was suddenly where I to point out how different I was from them, how I acted and how I dressed. And they started to ask me questions about my gender and about my sexual orientation. And I started to have a lot of anxiety about that, being at school and interacting with my peers. And so school became very difficult for me. I started to have panic attacks at school every day, and my grades were starting to slip. And I started to distance myself from my family and from my peers, just because I didn't really know how to interact anymore with the people that were in my life, because now I felt like the things I was doing were now being kind of called into question. I'm a pretty optimistic person. I'm usually see things on the bright side, and I entered high school sort of with this idea that things might improve and things would get better for me. And unfortunately, they only got harder my sophomore year. I came out, without knowledge of that point on through the rest of my high school experience, through my senior year. I experienced almost daily bullying from my peers, which made being at school even harder. And my anxiety, of course, became more severe. And I told my mom I was not going to go back to school with one semester of high school left. And I'm fortunate she, was able to advocate for me and worked with the school so that I could finish my high school diploma. So I finished it through independent study. So I was not on campus, and I didn't get to participate in all the fun things. But I'm fortunate that I did have somebody who was able to do that for me. So I was then able to earn my high school diploma. But it would take me, about 3 more years to figure out who I truly was, and to then start living a more authentic life, and come out as a trans person.
Thank you, Aiden. Am I on mute? No.
No, you're good.
Okay. So I'm going to tell you my story from a little bit different perspective, more from feelings, and of course as a mother. So I think when Aiden first came out, I went into a lot of negative feelings. I felt that I wasn't supporting my child. So I had a lot of guilt because I was working, traveling, maybe avoiding what I thought I saw, but not wanting to deal with it. And so when Aiden came out, all that came out as shame for me, because guilt is how you feel about what you've done. Shame is how you feel about yourself. So I was really ashamed that I had been such a terrible mother. Aiden was adopted, and when he was placed in my arms, the first thing I thought is I'm going to be the best mother possible. And I felt like I had broken that promise to was like sadness and grief, and that had to do with just losing a daughter and not knowing how I was going to be a mother to a son. But I think the saddest part of this part of our journey was the rejection from the church. Aiden was asked to leave the church, and I think at a time when our family needed a community to belong to and to feel loved, that community was taken away from us. And the bottom line was there was a lot of fear. I feared for the life Aiden would lead. I feared that he wouldn't find love. He wouldn't find a good job. And so there was a lot of stuff going on for me that had to do with fear. But this is a journey. And I think as part of the journey, we learn and we grow. And so today I have to tell you, I don't live in guilt and shame. I live in pride. I'm so proud of my son, all of who he is, that I was able to be a voice for this community as well. I mean, not the LGBTQ community, but for parents, to show that parents can love their child and embrace them. I also think I live in gratitude and joy. At one point when I was so sad, I thought, am I ever going to really be able to smile and laugh and be happy? Or will I always have this sad cloud around me? And I have to tell you, I have so many moments of joy. Last night we celebrated Aiden's birthday, and it was just the most wonderful evening that I have. And I think these moments become even more important just because we don't take them for granted. And the other thing is, as far as fear is concerned, I still have many areas where maybe I am fearful for Aiden and his safety. This world is going to be able to see the heart of my son, and is going to see that he's a good human being, not that he's transgender, but that he's a good human being. These two pictures are pictures of hope for me. One at the University of Laverne. This is the president of the United States, not the United States, of the college campus, pointing out Aiden's name. He was selected as one of the 125 most influential people in the 125 years of the campus. And it just shows that campus saw who he was and the influence on their university. And then finally, there's a picture of our family. Aiden is married to his wife, Mary. They've been together married for 8 years. And so it just shows me that our family, with all of what we've gone through, can still live in hope and be bit more about how we've lived in hope. And so I'm going to turn it over to Aiden to go ahead and talk about that first.
All righty. Oops, got to click on the right screen. Okay. So I have 4 kind of points that I feel like were highlighted for me throughout the last, almost like 13 or 14 years now since I came out and went and started my transition. And the first is that I can be sort of the man that I envision myself to be with my family and just in the world, and that I can still be loved and I can be accepted. And, that just came from this idea of parental expectations, and maybe they had other things in mind for me, but that I was going to be sort of the captain of my own ship, and that they were hopefully going to love and accept me for who I am. The second is are deeper and truer, and they're more meaningful because that I'm my authentic self. And so I'm not trying to be someone else or trying to fulfill other people's ideas. And so it's allowed me to build stronger connections and with the people in my life. And then I've got 2 more. So in the process of coming out, being patient and showing compassion when mistakes were made, just because I know people were in the process of learning and adjusting and trying their best to make changes to now this new person. So I came out when I was 20, and so there are people who've known me since I was little, and that they're adjusting to 20 years of names and pronouns and just memories that they have. And so I wanted to be patient and show compassion for them. And then the last was to take time for not being the place that I am without the support that I've had from my family, but also just the people that I've met along the way in this journey. And so I always wanted to stop and pause to reflect on those people and just the people that have been able to help me along the way.
So I'm going to come up with, boil it down to these 4 points. And I want to start with, I think I had hope because I knew why I wanted to do this work. And it gave me courage to move forward. And my why was, I knew that Aiden, even though he was transitioning from my daughter to my son, was still the same person inside. And also my why was, if the world was going to be safer for Aiden, I wanted to be part of it. And so just investing my heart just gave me hope that I was going to help make this world safer for him. I think it was also important. Beginning, I had so many stories in my head that were not accurate. And so when I talked to other people, when I reached out for support, I overcame a lot of fear and I didn't feel so alone. And the third important point for me was communication. And I know we hear that all the time. To have good relationships, we need to be able to communicate. And I think communication for me boiled down to 2 things. I had to be a better listener, especially to my son. And when I made a mistake, I had to say, I'm sorry. I had to apologize. And that kept our hearts open and kept our connection really strong. But I want to end with this one story because I think it was so important about what gave me hope is I wanted to have a good relationship with my son, and I felt it was up to me. And I know this isn't always the case, that people could having this idea of hope may not be the best, but for me, this was important. Aiden and I had gone through so much in his transition, and he couldn't tell me he loved me. And this happened for, months, over a year. And it really was breaking my heart. So one time I talked to him and because I wasn't going to give up. And I told him, you know what, Aiden, I've been talking to you for months and over a year about saying that you love me. And when I tell you I love you and you can't say it back, I feel like I've done something so terrible that you can't say those words to me. So that night he was going back to his apartment, and I thought, am I going to tell him I love him or am I not? And I thought, if I want this relationship with him, it can be that way. So I was walking him to his car because I always like to spend even a few more minutes with my son. And I looked at him and I said, Aiden, I love you, honey. And without skipping a beat, he turned to me and he said, Mama, I love you more. And at that moment, I knew that all those months of trying to figure out how to make this connection with Aiden and I more possible, that this showed me that I could do it. And it's always given me hope that anything that was important to me, I can make happen in my relationship with Aiden. A little side note was a couple years later, I was going to try to talk to Aiden and say, I love you more before he said it. And I'm trying to be really clever and say it before he does. And I say to him, Aiden, I love you more. And without skipping a beat again and looking at me with so much love in his eyes, he says, Mama, that's impossible. And so it was just further confirmation that it was important for me to continue to believe in hope. And so at this point, I want to transition into just thanking all of you and just saying, I really appreciate you having Aiden and I here so we can share our story. Here's our contact information. It's very short. And so if you want to hear more from us or read more of our story, we do have a book called Two Spirits, One Heart. And Aiden and I would love to send a book over to the want to borrow it, from the church. So thank you so much for having us. And I guess I'll turn it back over to Louise, who's gonna have a song for us.
Yes, I do have a song. Thank you for that wonderful share, both of you. It was really beautiful. So I want to sing Shower the People, and you can follow along in the chat. This is by James Taylor. Well, you can play the game and you can act out the part, though you know it wasn't written for you. Tell me, how can you stand there with your broken heart, ashamed of playing the fool? One thing can lead to another. It doesn't take any sacrifice. Oh, father and mother, sister and brother, if it feels right, well, don't think twice. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna work out fine if you only will. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna be much better if you only will. You can run, but you cannot hide. This is widely known. They'll tell me what you plan to do with your foolish pride when you're all by yourself alone. Once you tell somebody the way that you feel, you can feel it beginning to ease. I think it's true what they say about the squeaky wheel, always getting the grease. Better to shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna be much better if you only will. Now shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna work out fine if you only will. Shower the people you love with love. Show them the way that you feel. Things are gonna be much better if you only will.
Thank you, Louise. Thank you. Well, I don't know about the rest of the folks here, but I'm very moved. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And we do need to work together to make it a safer place, the world a safer place for people, more loving. So thank you very much. This is a time of community sharing. So if you'd like to share some of your thoughts or feelings right now, you can do that by raising your virtual hand like you see Craig and Daria have done, by going down to either reactions or participants, wherever it is on your screen, or you can go like this, we might see you. And you can make a brief comment, and or you can ask a question of Aiden or Marsha. But first, I just want to really thank both of you for being here and sharing your journey. And we pledging to do what I can going forward. Craig, go ahead. Dolly?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'll preface my question with a realization of what I've seen this week. After hearing Bishop Barber on Monday speak about an embracement of all people, regardless of differences, and after seeing, a minister from essentially the same region as Barber rant about how he didn't like Democrats in his church. I'm wondering specifically, because what that shows is even within the Christian faith, there's this polarization, and then there's this embracement of some by one group, and an absolute rejection of many others by another. I'm wondering specifically if indeed the Asian culture has that same kind of animus and or hostility towards the transgender as we've seen displayed, here in America.
Are you talking in other countries, or are you talking about communities?
Yeah, in other countries primarily, but amongst Asian people generally. But yeah, other countries primarily.
Okay, pretty broad question, but you want to try to take a stab at it, Aiden or Marsha?
I mean, Aiden, I'll go ahead and start. I work a lot in the Asian community, and over in Asia, they're really trying, but they are not as advanced, especially in the trans community. I think it's hard for them to understand that. And being Asian, we also come from a place of honor and saving face and not wanting to publicly be different. So I think when somebody comes out as a different, then it's harder for them because just being discriminated as Asian, now we're going to be discriminated on another level. I have talked to people in various Asian communities, and there is a division there. Some people are concerned because they've come from a country that they couldn't speak up, and so they want to be able to speak up more. And I think it has made it difficult. I don't know if I'm answering your question, but basically I think we have division just like you do, politically, on the spectrum of marginalized communities. And I think we're trying the best that we can to try to make that division less. In the Japanese community, I know that we're really involved in reparations for the Black community, and also for Vigilant Love works with the Muslim communities. So we're trying to bridge those gaps within our community.
Thank you.
Yeah, you answered it.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Daria?
Story, I found myself crying nonstop because I was so touched by that. And I think it's honestly a relief when I'm crying by being so touched by something in any kind of religious service. So thank you so much. And oh my God, that was so amazing and beautiful. Thank you.
Thanks, Daria. Bob?
Back from lunch. What's his mood today?
Well,
Kindly explain this.
What?
that was a wonderful presentation and just so inspiring
It's your
to
girlfriend's size.
see the love between
Which girlfriend?
two people. That just makes
How about the one on the CCTV?
people,
Bro,
makes me feel better
You
about
have a camera
the
in your
world.
office?
Everybody, hold on.
You should
Can
get one.
everybody,
Actually,
everybody mute?
how do you want me to kill you?
Wait a minute. Who's going on? Wait,
I advise against that.
who's on here?
Where's that
I
coming
always
from?
knew you had thoughts for me.
I don't know, but you know
Not
what?
yet. Not here.
Okay, all right. This is not. I don't see anybody separate on here.
I think it was coming from Bob.
It was coming from Bob.
Bob, can you mute? Something's going on at your end.
Yeah, the
Okay.
second he had his
Let's
stroke.
get it to
I
you.
hate to,
We're gonna mute you.
but
Okay. I don't know what's going on with his, but he's gonna be muted. Okay, Jean? I'm sorry about that. Bob, we can't have you, you're on, something is going on in your computer. I think you got a hack. Okay, Jean?
Yeah, I was just checking because sometimes if I'm watching a movie or something, it will play automatically rather than my turning it on. So that might have happened to someone. So first of all, I wanted to say to Aiden and Marsha that I was so gratified to hear you speak today because we hear so many stories about parents who estrange from their kids when the kids come out and they don't support them, and to hear your story of compassion and honesty about your reactions and how you, I mean, all of us parents, we go through things with our children, so parenting is never easy, but the added stresses of the differences and the struggle with gender make it very, very difficult. I wanted to ask Aiden, when you were functioning as a girl earlier in your life, you kind of assigned yourself an identity of a tomboy, and that made things better for you. Do you know in your travels with other transgender people, if if boys who transition to the female gender, if they have a harder time, because in our country, boys who exhibit female characteristics are given a really hard time. Girls who are tomboys are not given as hard of a time. Do you understand my question?
Yeah. I mean, I think I understand it. If I'm off, you just let me know and we'll take a stab at it again. I mean, I'm never one to necessarily compare experiences. I don't think it's hard to do, right? Because what's painful for me might not be painful for somebody else, and all sorts of things. But I will say, just if you look at statistics in this country, the number of trans women who face violence or who lose their lives to violence versus trans men, that number is staggeringly different, right? And I think it does speak to how we process masculinity in this country, how we raise boys in this country. And so I don't know if it's necessary that I would say it's harder for that reason, but it's not, it stems from something else, right? It stems from how we the idea of boys don't cry and, to toughen up and to do these things that I think make it harder for us to understand culturally why someone that people are perceiving as a man would want to give up, right? That sort of that manhood and that masculinity. And so it's like a very deep thing, but I do think it adds to the complexity of why, you see a different response from folks, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. Linda?
Thanks. I'm just so glad really glad to see y'all. I have a couple things I just want to say. First, I'll say what I was going to say at the beginning, which is that one of the things that was on one of your slides, Marsha, about it was up to me to have that relationship, right, with my child, resonated so deeply with me because I have a transgendered grandchild, and my whole thing about this is that the ways in which I don't understand exactly, right? And certain, I mean, it's very hard for me to put myself in the position of somebody else who has radically different experience. Hesitation at all to say that this kid has my back. I am this kid's defender to the limit, and we have a great relationship. And of course, it's easier if you're a grandparent, because that's the deal about being a grandparent, right? You don't have to raise the kid, you just have to love them, right? I mean, that's the job description, right? So it is a lot easier to be a grandma and to, that's the program, right? Of being a grandma is to be loving and accepting. And the program of being a mom is to guide the child in the way that they should go. And I think I think it's a lot harder when you have to sort of question the way you see very fundamental questions as a parent. I just think it's really tough. And I just want to honor mad love and respect, Marsha, because I just think it's, I mean, I've seen it in my own family that not everybody has responded in such a loving way and is able to really rethink fundamental ideas of what we know or what we thought we knew, what we think we know, right? And then I also just want to agree with the sort of the contextualization that Aiden did about the way that all of this is related to a patriarchal culture and society. I mean, all of our assumptions about femininity and masculinity and all of that have to do with about the role, about the way society functions, and becoming open to understanding the way that patriarchy has, and a capitalist system that developed patriarchy and affects us in one way, helps us to understand other ways in which the society oppresses other folks. And I'm really grateful to be here and to be part of this conversation.
Thank you, Linda. Your lived experience is we respect it a lot. Claudia?
Oh, thank you. In a way, I wanted Hurley Jim to go before me, but I was going to bring in something that we have this circle going that is just fabulous. And and Hurley Jim brought up something to me that our group has done for me is, I'm a physician. As a physician, you get exposed to a lot. And a very quick story. I keep bringing up this hospital, Sinai Hospital. I was a young little medical student. They were letting me assist in a birth. I was all excited. And luckily, they have these plastic wraps that go down from the mother. And I was delivering a baby. And I was excited, but the baby had ambiguous genitalia. And one of the first things you do when you deliver a baby is you check for the gender. And there was no gender to check, or there wasn't a declared gender. And I looked up and I dropped the baby. And luckily this plastic wrap allows the baby to slide down. But what happens is that people pick the gender to assign these babies, and you don't even know what they are. And it's not so binary. We all have male and female parts to us, and it depends on the balance of male and female hormones, what happens. And it's not just at what your genitals are, it's what's in your brain. And sometimes it's just in your brain. And now I'm a bit worried about these poor kids that somebody arbitrarily decided which gender they were going to be. But at minimum, I'd love a comment from you, but we all need to really understand that it is not binary. And these people that try to assign that are just so wrong. So thank you. And any comments you have, I appreciate it.
Claudia, that was an amazing comment. Thank you. Aiden or Marsha, do you want to comment? You don't need to, but okay. Well, are you going to, Marsha, are you talking? There you go.
I was just going to say really quickly, I understand now that they're not doing that. They're waiting, but I don't know how prevalent that is. But yes, with that comment by Claudia not being so binary, yeah, I think that's really an important piece. Aiden, do you want to add to that or?
I'm good. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Hurley Jim.
Thanks. Thank you, Claudia, for bringing that up. Yeah. And you're right, Marsha. There is a whole movement of intersex people now who are, gender, their own sexuality, their own sex, as an adult, not have it determined for them when they're children, and so they're advocates for that. That's important, and that was great, Claudia. And also, it's great that you are here, Aiden and Marsha. I just appreciate you both so much. You belong here. This is a loving community for you. And I've been talking about that a lot because there's a parallel for somebody else who's in our community who identifies as queer, and they went to teach in the Central Valley, and by now probably a number of people know who I'm talking about, but I don't really need to identify them. They were having a very tough time there, small town, that did not accept them, except for the students. The parents did not accept them, but the students, they shared some things that the students had written when she had decided kept, actually I think she identifies as she, they, but they felt that they had to go. They couldn't stick it out in the school year, and the students were very saddened by this, and they loved her so much. You could tell from what they had written. And one of them wrote, you, among other things, you deserve a loving community. And you deserve to be in a loving community. I believe that everybody deserves to be in a loving community. No exceptions. And we had Father Greg Boyle, one of my guys, at Communitas last night, and that's what he was using different words. He was saying, everybody belongs, nobody marginalized, nobody demonized, nobody thrown away, everyone part of our circle of kinship. And I am glad you are part of our circle of kinship. Thank you.
Me too. Thank you, Hurley Jim. Audrey.
Hi, good morning. And Aiden and Marsha, thank you so much for your moving and candid share. I'm wondering whether if you've monitored at all the your former church to determine whether there's been any progress in their
I haven't monitored it at all. I don't know, Aiden, if some of your high school friends are still going there, but yeah, it was a very hurtful time. And so I think we really, for many years, distanced ourselves from any church because we didn't know what was going to be said. But Aiden, have you checked with anybody from the Lutheran Church?
I have not. I think of my friends are no longer really active in the church anyway. But the last I had looked, I think every so often periodically I check online to see what churches are around. And they last I looked, they were not listed as an affirming congregation. So I'm not surprised in some ways.
You, Marsha and Aiden, and for all of you for sharing. This has been a very rich time. When I started crying, was during the part where you talked about the faith community not being there, and that's not right. And so, and I know that's what we're fighting about in the Methodist Church and in many churches, of course. But why is that? That's so antithetical to anything that should be from a faith community. And so every time when you said that, again, I'm convicted of not being visible enough and not being bold enough, not being like this church. I think could do more in terms of being more actively on the front lines, but I don't exactly know how to go about badly, but it seems like a uphill battle. When we were together at the high school, Marsha and Aiden and I, we were at the end of each school year. Santa Monica High School GSA had a project called Project Safe Zone, and that's where I first met them. And my job as the minister there was to tell them that they weren't going to hell. After the panel, which I was just one part of about 7 or 8 people, they would come. A lot of students came up to me and said, "Could you talk to my parents because they're religious?" And I hate that. I hate that concept that because they're religious, they believe this. It's not accurate. It's because they have a false idea of what faith is, but they're seen as religious. So thank you so much. We have to work together somehow to change the narrative. I know you're doing as much as you possibly can. I just recently attended one of the programs that you put on for faith leaders in Los Angeles, and they're working really, really hard to spread the word about this and to spread the stories. That's why they go from mosque to temple to churches, sharing their story. When I first heard you went to a centenary church and spoke with them, I thought, oh my gosh, that I couldn't believe it, because that's very courageous, and you're both very courageous to do what you're doing, and we need to be as courageous and as loving, more so. So thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. Much love.
Well, thank you all so much. It's been rich. And I hear you, Reverend Janet, call to greater action, greater action. So our song for after community sharing, this is actually the official song for the Poor People's Campaign. And we were talking about that last week and talked about it again actually in the breakout room last night. So this is Our People Gonna Rise, Emma's Revolution, and Reggie Harris is joining them to sing this song, Our People Gonna Rise. And yes, indeed, our people gonna rise.
Our people gonna rise. Our people gonna rise. Our people gonna rise. Listen to our cries through the pain and lies. Our people gonna rise. Our people gonna sing. In spite of everything, hear our freedom ring. Our people gonna sing. Our people gonna fight. Our people gonna fight. For what we know is right. We're marching through the night. Our people gonna fight. Our people gonna breathe. Our people gonna grieve. Our people gonna grieve. Whatever you believe, we have the right to breathe. Our people gonna grieve. Our people gonna pray. Our people gonna pray. Our people gonna pray. Take our rights away. See you on election day. Our people gonna pray. Our people gonna rise. Our people gonna rise. Listen to our cries through the pain and lies. Our people gonna rise. Our people gonna rise. Our people gonna rise. Our people gonna rise. Our people gonna rise.
Yes, our people gonna rise. Our people gonna rise.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear Aiden. Happy birthday, dear Dr. Kim. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you, thank you,
So
thank you.
let's do happy anniversary now. Marsha and Tad and Hurley, Jim and Molly.
Dr. Kim, you want to start us off?
I will. Happy anniversary to you.
Happy anniversary to you.
Happy anniversary, Hurley, Jim, and Molly. Happy anniversary, Marsha and Kat. Happy anniversary to you.
How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle, and how deeply you're connected to my soul? How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle, and how deeply you're connected to my soul?
Thank you, Louise. Thank you very much. It's a very moving morning. I think that what we need to do is spread the love, y'all. We got the love inside now. We spread the love really far and wide. So now's the time when we unmute ourselves. We do a chaotic thing on Zoom. We all unmute and we say carry on together. We grab hands around the world. So unmute yourself first and then put your arms out, because we're going to hold hands around the world. We're going to hold hands with people that are between us and people we step over, people who are not recognized, people who are harassed on the street, people who are bullied. We grab their hands right now and we say together, carry on. 1, 2, 3. Carry on.
Carry on.
Carry on.
Carry on.
Thank you.